Hey, welcome back to Bahal Recap. Today's video is part 2 of our Breaking Bad recap. Things are getting intense as Walter White goes deeper into the drug world and fully becomes Heisenberg. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next part. Let's get into it. In the last episode, the police uncovered a lead, and unexpectedly, Fengba turned out to be a key informant for the Narcotics Bureau. Informants aren't the same as undercover agents. They quietly feed info about other dealers to the Bureau. So Fengba is still a dealer himself. He agreed to be an informant to take down his rivals. This high-purity product caught the police's full attention. Hank said he'd never seen something so pure, 99.1%. He thought a major drug lord had moved into his territory. This batch of top-shelf dope was about to bring bloodshed to the small town. After work, Hank and his wife went to Walt's house for a gathering. To boost Walt's confidence, Hank bragged about how he pursued his wife, getting rejected over 50 times, but never giving up, finally winning her over. He asked Walt to share his story, but Skyler got more emotional. Just when everyone was confused, Skyler dropped, "You should ask Walt yourself," and left. Walt had to reveal the truth. He has lung cancer and doesn't have long to live. The news hit the family like a bombshell. That night, the family gathered to discuss a plan. Walt knew he couldn't afford the added medical bills on their ordinary income. Skyler said, "My folks will help cover your treatment." Hank added, "Meanwhile, after all the crap he's been through, Chauvin's been under a ton of stress lately." He called up a friend to hang out and pulled out one of Walt's masterpieces. The friend was blown away, so this is what they call a high-end customer. Early morning on the 4th, after a night of partying, Chauvin not only wasn't feeling better, he started seeing vivid hallucinations. Two big guys on Harleys showed up outside his house, armed with an 8-meter machete. Wait, no, 18 meters. Terrified, Chauvin bolted out the back door and scrambled over the wall to escape. But it was just two students handing out flyers, all in his head. Homeless, Chauvin had no choice but to turn to his parents. He snuck in, making noise, and when his folks saw their son after a long time, they weren't happy. His mom even had his dad check his arms for needle marks. They were ready to kick him out, but seeing him carefully set the table made them hesitate. Looking at his younger brother's medals lining the walls, Chauvin felt both proud and ashamed. Compared to his brother's achievements, he was a failure and a junkie. The worried mom, afraid Chauvin's influence might drag down the younger brother, left the door deliberately open. Chauvin angrily asked if they really feared he'd ruin their golden child. His brother, however, said the person they mentioned most was actually Chauvin. That night, unable to sleep, Chauvin thought about his brother's words. He opened an old box filled with his drawings, a talent he once had. Inside was even a poetry sheet in chemistry class, encouraging him to keep pushing forward. Mixed emotions swirled inside him, but none of it could change the past. While lost in thought, his friend Pang called. Chauvin expected the usual freeloading attempt, but Pang said his product was so good, he had contacts who could buy it all. The next morning, the housekeeper found a cigarette while cleaning. His parents told Chauvin, "We've given you countless chances. This time, we can't forgive you." Without arguing, Chauvin gave a bitter laugh, grabbed the cigarette and left home. Just outside, his brother followed him. It turned out the cigarette was his brother's. Scared of getting scolded, he let Chauvin take the blame. He even wanted to take back the cigarette. Baisao has been actively contacting specialists and doctors, but just the deposit alone is $5,000, which is crushing for their already struggling family. Baisao suggested borrowing money from Hank, but the pride-wounded old Bai flatly refused, saying he could advance on his own pension. Later, he sneaked into the room, opened the ventilation window at the corner, and pulled out a bag of cash. Some might ask where old Bai got the money. Actually, it came from Fengba. After taking down Fengba and his brother, the two split the money evenly. Suddenly, the money blew around. It was young Bai pushing the door open. Old Bai quickly lied, saying he was catching a mouse. Then old Bai drove to the bank to send the money. Parking was tough, but a convertible BMW cut in front. The arrogant driver acted like nobody else existed and got out. Old Bai felt angry but stayed silent. While waiting in line, old Bai ran into the same guy. The man made a loud phone call full of sneers, clearly looking down on ordinary people with a face begging to be punched. It was really infuriating. Old Bai could only glare, holding back his anger, telling himself to stay calm since he's a decent person. Back home shortly after, Little Pink came over. Old Bai was furious at his uninvited visit and told him to scram immediately. But then he realized he'd wrongly blamed him. Little Pink hadn't abused old Bai's art pieces. Instead, he said the last batch sold out. This time, he came to give old Bai half the money. After speaking, he tossed the cash in the air like a desperate move. Poor Little Pink got the cold shoulder, watching old Bai walk away. Old Bai didn't feel great about it either.
The next day, his wife and he went to see the specialist. The doctor said the cancer was worse than they thought. Cancer cells had spread, and only aggressive chemo could give any chance at survival. The chemo would cost $100,000, but came with heavy side effects like hair loss. Back home, his wife encouraged old Bai, telling him they'd go bankrupt if they had to, but must try treatment because there was still hope. Old Bai believed spending so much money for a worthless hope wasn't worth it. He didn't want to spend that much. If he passed, the family would be left with massive debts. Young Bai was still just a kid who couldn't grasp his father's struggles yet.
Even though he knew his son's angry words were just that, it shattered old White's defenses. Frustrated and upset, he went out for a walk. Suddenly, a harsh coughing fit hit him hard. He had to pull over, watching fresh blood spit out. Looking up, he spotted the guy who cut the line. Watching this arrogant line cutter, and then his own situation, all his anger and dissatisfaction surged inside. When he saw the man enter a store, old White calmly got out, walked over, popped the hood of the line cutter's car, and placed a wet rag on the electric starter. With a determined look, he closed the hood, turned on his heel, and walked away confidently. Real men never look back. Hearing the explosion, the line cutter came out and instantly collapsed. The key point is, old White didn't even know who did it. If he still had some conscience after taking down Fengba, his actions now clearly show he's sinking deep into moral decay.